StreamYard do its magic.
There we go. Hey, everybody.
See if we get some people popping in here today. So what I was kind of, telling everybody as I sending out the emails is, if people are on the fence about DealMachine, they see stuff on DealMachine, they don't really know what it does. That I want to, have you and have me explain it to them, show them all the features and the benefits. And, and if they've got any questions, they can pop them in there and we can show them, does it do this? Will it do that? How do I do that? We can answer all those questions for them. So we got a few people on here, got 6 people on here. So we'll give it a couple minutes and see who pops on, but welcome everybody. If you come on, pop in the chat where you're at, where you're watching from, maybe what city you're in.
Yeah. But, great networking opportunity. I know it's something too, David. I mean, we on our end, we're always evolving, always adding new stuff. And we started off as, best in class driving for dollars back in originally 2017, 18. And so over the 6-7 years we've been doing this, we've added a ton of stuff. I want to make sure you guys use it to its full potential. So excited to show the new things and really train everybody up and make sure you're, doing everything that works best in today's market. So,
hey Lee, how are you? That's what I'm explaining to everybody. And I reference when I'm trying to paint the picture of when I started and what people have available to them now, and I sent out a video earlier in an email and I said, when I started this in wholesaling, probably, I'm going to say around 2010, probably around 2010, right? Mm-hmm. When we went out, when we were generating deals, we went out and drove for dollars. Had a notepad, wrote everything down, came back, had to get on whatever county website, try to look up the owners, right? And get their address, get owner and address. Then you had to go try to skip trace them and find a phone number for them or whatever. If we were going to send out mail, you had, back then, remember the yellow letters and everybody was like hand addressing envelopes. So that was a big deal, right? Mm-hmm. The whole process was very labor intensive.
You did it the hard way, man.
So, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of times, and I would have been more successful if I would have been thorough and done a lot of those other things. But what my strategy was, and we've talked about this before, but I had a letter that said, hey, I want to buy your house, and I tape it to the door and I go to the next, because I didn't want to put the time involved into skip tracing and to going to the county site and into doing the calls and all that stuff. So if I would have had DealMachine, so I could have pulled up in front of the house, sent them a postcard, automatically had their phone number so I could just call them and do all these things. Like I probably would have been doing, when I was first started, I would have done double the deals, right? But I didn't have all that. Nobody did.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Hey, David and Russ. Hey, guys.
Yeah. Welcome, everybody. I was going to say, it's pretty incredible how quick you had success, considering how many barriers you had to jump through and how much hard work you had to put in there. Like, that is our goal, is to give everyone the power of real estate investing by giving you technology to automate a ton of that process and take what would take you, 30 minutes plus per address to like 30 seconds. So
right.
Yeah.
So and I emphasize that all the time for everybody on here. It's what Matt just said. It's the reason I had success right off the bat was because I did it hardcore, right? It's because, I didn't have all these tools. I didn't have all these things, but I just went all in and I drove for dollars all day, every day, right? 6-8 hours a day. I'd get in the car, drive up and down streets and do all that stuff. It's still great if you can do all that, but you don't have to do it as hardcore as I did. I still suggest everybody go all in, pick your strategy, do it, until your nose bleeds. But if you've got another job, if you're doing this part-time, if you're, easing into it, there's, using a tool like DealMachine, you can go out on the weekends and drive, right? And get your mail out and make calls and all that, and probably have the same success that I did having to drive 6 or 8 hours a day. So it opens up just so many possibilities for people. So we've got a few people in here. So I like to go ahead and start and go into this. But guys, what I want to do is, with Matt, and why I invited Matt on, I want to do like a deep dive into DealMachine, and we're just going to go through the main sections. What does DealMachine do now? Started as a driving for dollars app, but it will do so much more. So let's hop into that. And we're going to start, and I'm just going to say, hey, everybody, welcome to this. I'm excited to have you here. This is a live demo of the DealMachine real estate software. Matt and I are going to dive deep into what this will do for you, what DealMachine will do with you, how it will get you more deals, how it will save you a ton of money, because now you can ditch a lot of the other things that you used to pay for and do them right into DealMachine. So, let's hop into it. And Matt, like always, thank you for coming on and doing this with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I always have a good time with you too, David. So I appreciate you having me on. I know it's cool. I mean, again, it's inspiring to hear how you were able to get out there and do it without all this technology. And, David Lecko, our CEO and co-founder, like where this idea even came from was him scratching his own itch and doing what you were doing manually. But he also had a tech background and said, you know what, let me apply that to this process. And, he definitely didn't invent driving for dollars. That's been around forever of like, driving and looking for those rundown properties and building a list of those and reaching out to them, like going off market. All of that was already the playbook. It's just a matter of how do we make that way more efficient, way more effective, and save you as much time and money in the process as possible. And happy to walk you through kind of the tech on how to execute on that today. So
I wish he would have done it about 8 years sooner, 8 years earlier.
If only. Yeah. I know, right? But
right.
Hey,
let's hop in there. I'm going to throw your screen up there so people can see it, and just go through, like I said, let's go through the age old driving for dollars app. Then let's get into the leads, the skip tracing, dialer, and mail, and just kind of go through everything kind of step by step on what this can do for everybody.
Yep. Perfect. And really, high level, we're a tool to help you find off market deals. So we're a lead generation, marketing tool to help you go from, trying to figure out like, hey, how do we go direct to seller? How do we use these various strategies and apply technology to it to go find great deals in today's market? Everything I show off too. I know we've had over 10,000 deals done using DealMachine to this point. So we hit that milestone last year. A lot of the playbook I share today is from our customers. It's from people in the, going out there and doing this every single day and being able to execute on this. And we've had people do it in every single state, all kinds of markets. So this isn't something that we'll go through and you'll say, oh, that doesn't apply to me. Like this does, be able to work for people in essentially any market and even virtually as well. So
right.
What I want to start off pointing out with right away is you're seeing again the desktop version of the app right here. There's a mobile app as well. So anything you do on mobile, anything you do on desktop, they all sync up and go to the same place. I know we do have a special link for you guys set up throughout this. So if you want to follow along and actually come out of this training, out of this Q&A with your first leads added, with your first list being built, I believe it's dealmachine.com/toolbox. That'll take you there.
It is. I'm going to drop it in the chat right now for everybody.
There we go. So if you, that's a free trial. So you get 7 days free to follow along with this. You also get all the unlimited free skip tracing, which we'll get into here in a minute. You get the dialer, which we'll get into here in a minute. Outside of that, you get free postcards as well that you wouldn't get going through just to our website. So I want to make sure to treat you guys special here too. But really, as you go through this, first and foremost on the map, really when it comes to building a list of the most motivated sellers in your market, you've got a couple of ways to be thinking about how to do that. I would say, first and foremost, like we were first known as a driving for dollars, best in class app for that specific strategy. Still, in terms of number of leads to a deal, the least number of leads it's going to take for you to go do a deal is driving for dollars. Like those are the highest quality leads in your market. You're again, to define it for people, you're getting your car, you're driving around, you're looking for rundown houses that, need some fixing up, they need some help. It can be really obvious, like, a tarp on the roof, the gutter's falling off, broken boarded up windows, it can signs that it's vacant, like really overgrown grass or really overstuffed mailbox. It can be signs that are much more subtle, things like, oh, you got a window AC unit, or you've got these things that hey, might need some updating, or, just the front yard or backyard's a mess. For whatever reason, the owners isn't either wanting to keep up with that property or isn't able to keep up with that property any longer. And that is the number one indicator of a motivated seller, is the physical condition of that property. So, if you're going to take driving for dollars as your first strategy, is one way to approach this. Again, that route is going to take a little more hustle, a little more, like David said, you put in the work, you got out there and actually put in the time to go build a list that no one else has, which, it's another reason it's the least competitive list out there, is because no one else can replicate that list, right, without putting in that work that you're doing. But if you're going to err a little more toward spending time to do this rather than just, marketing budget, this is the route I would go. We'll get into the other side of that equation here in a minute of, hey, if you have less time but more marketing budget to, be able to get out there in your market, we have options there too. But when it comes to driving for dollars, don't overthink it. Jump into DealMachine. Again, this is the web version. The mobile app looks like this, but squeezed down on your phone. And you're going to start driving down the street. You'll see, again, you'll notice on my screen right here, I've got some lines showing past routes that I've taken, because it tracks your route right off the bat, locks onto your location. You'll see a little tail pop up behind you as you drive around there, David. And going down the street, if I drive down Itasca Street right here, don't overthink it. You see a house that's, in rough shape in real life or has those signs of distress, easy enough. You just click on that property inside the mobile app. If I see, 6249 Itasca in real life, click on it in the mobile app, hit add lead. It's going to turn that property blue. So do a blue pin right here. That means you've added it to your list, and you move on to the next one. So as simple as that, start there, start driving around, looking for those rundown properties, click on it in the app, add it to your list, and you're off to the races. So I can get to some pro tips here, but David, what thoughts do you have right off the bat right there?
Well, I was thinking of, what you said coming into this section about driving for dollars. And I want to explain to everybody why I picked this strategy coming into it, right? I had been in real estate. I'd been in mortgages, I'd done a lot of phone calling in my life, right? A lot of cold calling. And when I came into this, I tried to put myself into the shoes of the property owner, right? If somebody just called me out of the blue and said, hey, I want to buy you. I saw you had a house. I want to buy it. I might dismiss that. Okay. And for somebody making cold calls, you have to make a lot of cold calls to find the person that's willing to just, deal with somebody that called them out of the blue that wants to buy their house. Okay. But when I picked driving for dollars, and I realize everybody can't do it, but for those of you that can, it's a different mentality with the property owner. You reach out to them, you put a note on the door, you send them a postcard, you ring them, you email them or whatever, and say, hey, I was by your property. I was doing another deal in whatever city, and I drove by your property and I saw it was vacant. I saw, the grass was tall or whatever. And I wanted to reach out to see if you're interested in selling it. Automatically different mindset. This person was by my property. They're local. They're interested in buying. It's all different, right? It's a different, you're starting a different rapport other than, hey, I'm somebody calling out of the blue. I had your name on the list. I just wanted to ring you. So remember that with driving for dollars, you can pull a list of properties, right? You can generate a list in DealMachine. You can do it in PropStream. You can do it in Privy. You can do wherever. But if you pull a list and you just start calling, you're like everybody else. If you get out and drive and you go by the property and you leave a note on the door and you send them a postcard with a picture of their property and you do all these things, it's different. It's different in their head, and they're going to respond to you at a much higher rate than if you do any other strategy, right? That's why I chose driving for dollars. That's why I picked it. So I'll let you pick it back up, Matt. But I just, I want to tell everybody that there is a psychological element to driving for dollars that people don't get.
Yeah, and really, like you said too, they're the highest quality leads for all those reasons in general. And again, you can pull a list. I'll show you that here in a second. But being able to drive for dollars and identify those houses and build a list that no one else has is the least number of leads it's going to take you to get to a deal.
Yep.
And when we look at the data to figure out, like, how do we goal set for this? How do we know, hey, are we on the right path? Like, how do I know I'm working my way towards success? And it is a numbers game in the end. Like, it's about filling up your funnel with high quality leads, consistently reaching out to them, getting appointments booked, making offers, closing deals. Like, you're kind of working it down that funnel. But when you are filling up that funnel with high quality leads, even if you just get to your first 100 driving for dollars leads, we look at the data, and you may not have your first deal in that, first 100 leads. In fact, you probably don't. Probably need a couple more times that to be able to go do your first or next deal. But even getting that first 100 leads in there is a massive, massive win. And when we look at the data of where is that turning point, where do people stick with this, and what is the predictor for long-term success of doing not just one deal but many deals? The people that can get to that 100 point and really put in the initial work to get to that 100 point are in another tier of likelihood of being successful. So if you can just get to that first 100 leads, it goes a very, very long way. We do have people get lucky, and we've had people. I know I use this example, but we had Quentin down in San Antonio a few years ago. We were live streaming him reach out to sellers. The fourth lead he added, he did a deal. Like, you can get lucky from that standpoint. We have people do.
Yeah, it's crazy. Putting notes on doors and stuff. I've had people call me within an hour of leaving a note on a door, and I've had other people that it took 6 months to call me, right?
Exactly.
But you'll get those. I mean, you'll go out and drive for dollars, and start doing that, start tagging things and all that. And sometimes, like, people say, "Hey, I just got this," and you're like, "I was just there," right? And then it's, which gives you a perfect opportunity to say, "Hey, I'm still in the area. Why don't I circle back and take a look at the property?"
Yep. And that's where, like, if you're able to really, be consistent with it, but start there and start with those bite-sized chunks and get out there and do this where, again, you're not overthinking it. You're finding those rundown houses. You're touching on the app. You hit add lead. There's a ton of data you can dig into here, which I'll get into in the second phase of what you can do with DealMachine. You don't need to look at that yet. The number one indicator is, hey, is it a rundown property? Is it a property that needs some TLC? Just build that list to start off with. So,
dude, when I did this all the time, right? I didn't look up who owned it. I didn't look at what their equity was. I didn't look at anything. People get all bogged down with that, right? Get out and just tag properties, right? Ugly, tag it. Vacant, tag it. Keep going. And don't worry about all the other garbage. Just make a game with yourself. Like, let's see how many distressed properties I can get out and find today. Is it 30? Is it 50? Is it 70? And just do it. And don't worry about all that other garbage.
Yep. And so a few pro tips as you drive around to be able to tag them more quickly. I'll say, one, I love this tap to add properties slider. This is if, especially if you're out driving and you're seeing a property and you're like, oh, I just want to add that real quick. I don't want to be able to tap multiple times. I just click. When I have that on now, you can see right here, you can just click on the house and it just pins it for you. So you can go down the street, and especially if you're in an area with a lot of distress, just boom, 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 boom as you go across. Makes that really easy. The satellite mode, I know a lot of people like that. So that way you can see the actual rooftops and things right there for you.
I like that one better too.
That's great. So I prefer that when I drive around. It automatically tracks your route, but you can view past drives, and you'll see over time. And you can see I've got a ton of demos in here too, demo drives. But you can view and see, here's my business partner Vince. He drove around, added 4 leads, drove this far. It really tracks his route and gives a summary, so that way we can make sure we're covering entire areas, entire neighborhoods together. And then you can actually see over time. Let me go back to that area where I do a lot of demos. Over time, that'll actually change colors for you too. So you can see, hey, it's green for 6 months, and then after that it turns yellow, and then after that it turns red. So I can look visually at the map and see, oh, it's been a while since I drove over here. It's yellow now. Like, I've done deals over there now. Like, let me go re-drive these areas that I have covered, but it's been a while. Right. So visually it really helps you stay organized there. If you are trying to do this virtually and you're looking at somewhere that you're not physically based in, I'd say this is definitely a really solid plan B of trying to get a lot of the benefits of driving for dollars, but not have to actually physically drive in that area. Or, we've seen people use, a VA do this. We've had people use if they have a day job, it's hard to get out during the day, or maybe they don't even have a car. Like, this is a good alternative option here where you can actually do virtual driving for dollars or clicking for dollars here. And again, I always prefer the in-person if possible, but to have this as a secondary option inside DealMachine, you click start driving, and in the mobile app, it's just drive for leads. There's a button there. It'll say virtual drive is one of the options, or on the desktop, you just click anywhere on the map right here and hit this big orange start driving button. And it's going to do what you would do in real life, but virtually. It's going to import Google Street Image right here. You can click down the street and use this as a way to even do this, while you're sitting on the couch. Like, you can do this anytime, anywhere. Again, I always prefer the in-person property because that's the most up-to-date data, right? But it's a good alternative where I would say the one change I would make in your process here is always check when that photo was taken, which you can see in the bottom right corner. It's pretty small there, David. I don't know if you can see that, but
yeah, I can see.
There we go. It says photo taken May 2022. Just double check and see, like, if I did find a rundown house, a house that was in bad condition, and again, by virtually driving, going a little quick here for Google. There we go. And we zoom in and see, like, there's some kind of distress or anything. I would just compare that photo taken date to when that property was last sold, which let me find a good example of this.
Guys, I don't want to remember this. And this is a valid point, like when people are doing virtual driving for dollars, because the images aren't popped up new every day, right? Sometimes they're a year old, sometimes they're 6 months old, sometimes they're a couple of years old or whatever. But remember this, okay? Properties don't get distressed in a month. Right? People let these things go for years. I've bought properties or wholesale properties that have been vacant for over 10 years. Right? So, what Matt's saying here, you can go in, if, the property's a couple of years old, you can go in to the property, data and see when the last time it sold was. But I would say if you went through and picked 100 properties, virtual driving for dollars, I bet you a solid 80% of them would still be distressed no matter when the picture was taken, right?
Absolutely.
And the ones that aren't distressed anymore were probably bought by a investor. And if you market to them, a lot of times an investor will call you and say, hey, you know what? I'm not looking to sell, but if you come across any more, I'm certainly looking to buy.
Yeah.
Right. And you build your buyers list.
Great way to build your cash buyers list, or maybe they own another property that that they want to offload from their portfolio. You can even turn them into mentors, right? Like, I've had plenty of people who call them up, they become a cash buyer, and kind of become a little bit of a mentor for them locally too. So, fantastic. So, I think in-person D4D preferred, virtual D4D is also a great option. If you're on DealMachine Pro, you get 3 users as well. So you can even go into your account and go to your team and add people to your account. Like, I've got Vince here, my partner. I got Elliot here, who's a bird dog for me, driving and only adding leads, not touching anything else on the account. So you've got a lot of options on desktop and mobile to build your list this way. And again, it's the highest quality list out there in terms of finding motivated sellers.
Right. Put your wife or husband on there, put your kid on there, say, stop watching Netflix and get out there and drive. Right.
When they can virtual drive while watching Netflix too. I mean, we've had people do that. So I think, that's kind of strategy one. I do want to briefly touch on the list building piece too, David, if that's okay.
Yeah, let's go into that. So and that's, if you want to hop over there to are you going to do the leads list you're saying?
Yeah. So the other option, like pulling a list really quick here, just to kind of show people that they have that option too, if that's okay. But,
yeah, let's do it.
Cool. Awesome. So again, D4D, highest quality leads, but does require more time. Does require you to get out there, whether it's you or someone else, on your team inside DealMachine, right? To go put in the work to go find those properties, whether it be in person or virtual. The other option here too is, especially if you're following along, and it's that DealMachine.com/toolbox to get the 7-day free trial and all the perks with this. You can come out of this call with a list built already as well. And what you can do here is we have over 700 data points to filter by, where if you go into DealMachine too, now again, is going to be quicker, yes, but it's going to require more marketing to go do a deal, because other people have more ready access to this type of data. You can come in and yeah, there's a lot of really niche lists you can pull and work, and that's great. Like we have people do deals like that all the time. I do deals like that in my own business, pulling lists in addition to D4D. But just know that it's going to take more marketing to that list than it would a D4D list to go do deals. So just come into it.
All right. So, but let's talk about it. Okay. So let's separate them now. So we have Driving for Dollars app. Boom. Okay. Well, we've talked about that, what it can do and all that. Now let's talk about like building a list, using DealMachine to build a list. Now there are a lot of other softwares that can do this for you, right? But DealMachine has both, right? Driving for Dollars and List Builder. All right.
Yep.
So List Builder, let's talk about the benefits of List Builder though, Matt. And the biggest one that I always think of is how many data points do you guys have when I go in and build a list?
Yeah, it's 700 plus categories. So you've got a ton of data you can be working with here. How to really not get overwhelmed by that though, is there's a really specific process that we've seen work, to make people most successful with pulling a list like this. And so what that process typically looks like, and again, David, feel free to jump in and give any pointers on what you like to do or what you've seen work too. But we'll say, hey, start broad. So start with an area. You can see on DealMachine here, the right side is kind of the browsing bar. This bottom bar is exactly how many properties fit your criteria that you are filtering by. And then this top bar is where you're going to be spending your time, is the filter bar. The first step that we recommend is, hey, come in and you can start with an individual address or a zip code, a city, a county. We recommend a zip code typically because that's, you're a little more concentrated. You can put multiple zip codes in to work those, but I really recommend, hey, start with an initial zip code. And what we're targeting here is if we can get to a list of somewhere between 200 and 500 properties, that is a great initial list that if you are consistently marketing that, highly likely you can do a deal in that list of leads. And also it's not too big that you are spreading yourself too thin when it comes to marketing. It's more manageable when it comes to sending direct mail or making calls or door knocking if you want to do that, or flyers on the door. Like we'll give you marketing, strategy here. But if you can kind of go with us on this process, aiming for that kind of that magic range is a great place to start.
So when I started, and maybe you want to put this in there, but my very first city that I drove for dollars was Allen Park, Michigan. It was 48101.
Which one? What city was it?
Allen Park, Michigan. Right?
Allen Park, okay.
Or 48101. Oh, whatever you want to do.
Let's do 48101. I really like the zip code.
I think that's the entire city. So it was one zip code. All right.
Cool. Oh,
but what I always tell, and I'll say, guys, I started with Allen Park. I drove every street in this city, up and down, one went back the other, right? Every single. I got 5 deals in the first 30 days of wholesaling out of Allen Park, Michigan.
Love it.
Right. But more importantly, from a marketing aspect, if you're driving for dollars, if you're sending postcards, if you're calling or whatever, there are national companies that buy houses, and there are big local companies that send out, thousands and, tens of thousands of dollars worth of mail. But if you focus on a zip code, if you focus on 5 zip codes or whatever, then you own those market, right? That small. If you wanted Allen Park, you own Allen Park, right? Nobody compete with you. You're on the ground. You're sending mail. You're doing all these things. You're doing in that zip code what the big boys are doing in your market, right? So nobody can beat you if you niche down and focus down on a zip code like Matt's telling you here, because you're putting a note on the door, you're sending them a postcard, you're giving them a call, you're talking to the neighbor, every street, where the investors are buying, everything about it, right? You learn it. Yeah. Your comps, what houses are selling for, right? Without even looking anything up online, what people would pay for that house, right? And then you go to the city next to it. The city next to Allen Park is Lincoln Park, and it's very similar. So I go over to Lincoln Park and I do the same thing, right? And I just keep going and keep building my area. So in Detroit, this is called like downriver, like, Metro Detroit, but you just focus on one area like that and just blanket it with your marketing, right?
So good.
That's how you do it, right? You don't go, oh, I'm going to do everything in Metro Detroit. I'm going to do everything in Metro St. Louis or Dallas, Fort Worth, Metroplex or whatever. Pick a niche area. Pick something that you can know better than the other wholesalers, than the buyers, than the sellers, than anybody, right? And then you're the expert.
Love that. Yeah, that's a fantastic way to explain that mentality. So I would say start there. So you pick that area that you can own, 48101 for this example. The next layer deep I would go is property type. So you can see there's 12,806 properties overall. I would say go, property type, again, we've got price you can filter by, bed, bath, hundreds of other data points here, quick filters, all that. Let's focus on property type is that next layer down. So we'll do single family. Now we're down to 11,155 single family homes in Allen Park. I would also recommend do off market. So look at properties that haven't sold recently, which is under quick filters here. And that's where we would start, and toggle match all on. So that way you've got all that, it means that it has to fit all this criteria, right? So we're starting here. We've got a zip code, we've got single family, we've got off market. Awesome. We got 10,745 properties to begin with. Now, again, you've got hundreds of filters you could be working with here. There's really kind of two main buckets they all fall into, though. One of them would be property characteristics. So what about the house itself could make this more likely to sell sooner than later? And then the other side of the coin would be seller motivations. So what could a seller be going through that is a problem you can come in and solve, and they have an issue that you could bring a ton of value to them right away, help them move quickly, conveniently, as is, for cash, like everything we can offer on the wholesaling side. Right. So with those two general buckets, I would say, where to start off with, I love going to this more tab and searching, because you've got a ton of things you can be digging into. I mean, mortgage data, demographic data, property data, land, tax, foreclosure, all kinds of different stuff here. A couple examples, and David, tell me if anything really stands out to you. A couple examples that I really like. One would be about the property itself, property characteristics. One would be year built. So properties that are older, right, more likely to need updating, to be a fixer-upper, to be ones that have been owned for a long time and might want to cash in on that, or might be looking to move or looking to downsize. So if you go into more filters, type in year built. That's one great example. Okay, we've got year built here. We can say, I don't know how old this area is, David, but we could say
these houses were probably, I'm going to guess they were built in the 50s or 60s, right?
Let's try less than or equal 1950. Let's see if we drop too low. Oh, there we go. 4,800. That's perfect. So properties that have been built 1950 or older. So 4,812 properties were going the right direction. Each time we put in a data point, it's going to hone you in further and further and further into what a great list looks like. So is there anything else about the house itself, David, that you want me to filter by? Just curious.
The property itself, not really. It's just kind of a mixed area. You have, in some areas, I'm not particularly fond of frame houses because, they're, in Detroit, those neighborhoods aren't taken care of as much. But this is a good mix, brick, frame community. So I think, I did both, in that area. But you could, if that was a scenario, if you're someplace where investors like brick better, you could certainly pick something like that, or if you're just focusing on multifamily or whatever. But as far as in this area, as far as property type or property characteristics, I kind of I like that. And you're also kind of subject to a lot of times what information the county's putting in on it. But a lot of times, investors will they want a garage or they want a basement or those kind of things if the information's available,
Yeah.
Hey, Matt, your camera froze, Matt. I don't know. We can still hear you, but your camera froze. Yeah.
Oh, it's that thumbs up, man. Hold on a second here. Let me take a look. All right, give me 1 second here, guys. I will tell you, garage, that's an option. You can still see my screen share, right?
Yes, we can see. Yeah,
okay.
In the area. Yeah,
basement's an option. So if you have like a cash buyers list that are very specific on what they're looking for, you can kind of reverse engineer that here. I would say equity is a great one. Lot size. Lot size could be a good one. Zoning, if you want to get really specific there. I'll toggle on high equity as an example, so you can see 60% or greater equity. It's probably gonna be most of those. There you go, 2,900 properties right there. So that's a great list to kind of keep whittling it down.
I don't like filtering it down too much because sometimes I feel like you lose out on opportunities. But if you're out looking for properties of somebody that's owned it for a while, that they have a lot of equity, you might want to omit corporate owned, right? And just do privately owned properties.
That's a great one.
If you don't want to get, bank owned and, and landlords and all that stuff, you might just want to say, hey, I just want, I don't want any corporations. I just want private owned properties.
So you could search corporate owned and say, hey, is not corporate owned. Confirm that. And now we're down to 2,701 properties. So that's a great one. So man, I don't know what's going on with my camera there, but I'll try to fix that for you.
We can still see your pretty face. So in the circle. So
there we go. At least we got that. I'll try to adjust it here when we go to Q&A. But cool. So we've got corporate owned right there. Now the other side of this coin again is seller motivations. So not just the property itself, but what about the seller? What could they be going through that you can give a ton of value to them by coming in and giving them a quick and easy option, right? Quick filters is a great way to identify those. Again, there's plenty of other filters here too, but going into our quick filters, you can see things like, hey, is it an expired listing? Is it a property that is, absentee owned, for example? I really think like tax delinquent, that's a great one. Are they behind on taxes? Looks like nothing that's popping up there. Tired landlords, that's another option right here. Be able to come in, you've got 32. So each of these individual filters, probate, foreclosure statuses, all these types of things are great to be able to kind of nail this down to try to get to that magic, 200 to 500 sweet spot there. One other really good example, I know we use this in my business a lot, but liens. So you could say, hey, is there a lien on the property here? That means they're dealing with something. If we confirm that, hey, we're at 155 properties. So that's a really good, pretty solid list there. But any like seller motivation.
Do my favorite, man. Just put in there vacant.
Yeah. So that would be USPS vacant. Let me delete this. So the post office marks it as vacant. Right here, 30. There you go. 30 properties.
Right. 30 properties. So, and it's funny you mentioned tired landlords, but two of the properties I've got out of Allen Park, tired landlords. One was, I went to it. It was so infested with fleas that the first time we went to it, we couldn't even go in it. Jeez. They were literally in the front yard. The fleas were hopping off the ground in the front yard. And I said, I'm not going in there. I said, exterminate it and I'll come back. And then we went back to that one. And the other one was an older couple that had a property that was a rental. It was their only rental property. And the people just tore it up. And they're like, we just want out of this. Right. So, but tired landlords, a great one, right? Tired, And in that case, sometimes you might want to use corporate owned, vacant, absentee owner, tired landlord, right? And filter it down. And those can be good. That's why I don't use a ton of filters because although I see the mentality in a lot of times I think you eliminate things by using them. Because people say, oh, like they always say, oh, somebody that bought a house in the last 5 years or 4 years isn't likely to selling. I can't tell you how many houses I've wholesaled where they were bought in the last 5 years, where the people bought them from like tax sale with intent to fix them up and flip them, and they just went, I'm in over my head, right? So don't, although filters are great and like tax delinquent, awesome filter, but don't filter it to the point where you're eliminating stuff. Because people do it all the time. You'll miss opportunity.
Yeah, you can definitely over filter. So, I mean, I think like this is a great list. It's not quite 200 to 500, but I can pull this to start off with. We just click confirm bill down here. It takes a few seconds. And then the great thing is, hey, you know what? That's one list. Let me toggle back on. And you said delete the corporate owned and add tired landlord. I think that's a great one. So let's turn that on. Let's see what we get here. Tired landlord. Awesome. Here's another 70. Great. We had 30. We had 70. We got at least 100 to start off with right there that are both really, really solid lists. So that's kind of, again, going to get us, I know we talked about driving for dollars and virtual D4D. We talked about list building. That no matter what, step one is build your list of leads, fill that funnel of opportunities to start working. And then we can move into step two around, okay, what do we do with those addresses, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. So
now the leads. Yeah. So, but you guys can see with that list building, I mean, I don't think there's another software on the market that has as many filters and as good as data as DealMachine does for building lists. Even if you don't want to drive for dollars, if you just want to build a list to mail or to call, and we're going to get into that, but you can go in here and build that list. So you build your list in Allen Park of vacant properties, right? And then DealMachine has what they call a smart list. So then you build this list, but then next week, 3 of these vacant properties become occupied, and then 5 more get registered with the post office of being vacant. Your list is going to update. So you don't have to go in and build a new list. It's just going to update your current list.
Exactly. Yep. And it's checking daily on, hey, if a property does not fit this criteria any longer, it'll automatically remove it. If it does start to fit this criteria, it'll automatically add it. Yeah. So it's always dynamic. It's making sure you're going to reach those properties those owners as quick as possible. It's making sure that, hey, if you have them on an automated marketing campaign, that it shuts that off. So that way you don't waste any marketing dollars or time on that. So it's got these dynamic smart lists for you to be able to take advantage of. And really, that next step is, as you've built your list, it's okay. I've got all these addresses. I've got 70 here. I've got 30 there. I pull these 2 lists of leads in Allen Park. Fantastic. What do I do with them? How do I turn these addresses into appointments, into really high quality conversations? So
I know we're going to get into mail and stuff, but I want to point this out for everybody. Say you just wanted to own Allen Park, Michigan, or a city in your market, right? And vacant property, tired landlord, we had 70, right? And if you set up a mail campaign to mail out once a month to those 70 people, it's going to cost you what, $50, around $50 or something like that, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yep.
So $50 a month, autopilot. If one of those houses become unvacant or 2 more get added as vacant or whatever, it's going to update. You don't have to touch that, right? But imagine somebody that has a vacant property in Allen Park and the grass is high and they're paying taxes on it and trying to keep it secure and all that. And once a month they get a postcard, maybe a different postcard from you every month that says, hey, are you ready to sell this thing? Right? It's like, do you want some help with this property? And, by the time they get that 3rd postcard or that 4th postcard, they're like, hey, David's consistent and he's sending me a postcard for 3 months. I'm going to give him a ring and see if we can do something with this. And it doesn't cost you that much money, right? Stop going and getting fast food, which costs you, $25, $30, if you've got a family, maybe 50 every time you go, right? Yeah. And use that money on postcards for Allen Park and then start closing deals where you're going to, I think my average, Allen Park assignment was probably in, the neighborhood of $7 or $8 grand. Right.
I think, and you are right. I mean, that was my 7-year-old, his Chick-fil-A order is bigger than my wife's at this point. Like he's putting down calories, man. He's and he's a stick too. I don't know where it goes, but but
it's crazy. But you can spend on something like this, right? Close a few deals and have Chick-fil-A cater a party for you, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So anyway, I wanted to point that out though, because with DealMachine, you don't have to have, they don't say, oh, you've got to send out 1,000 postcards or whatever. I mean, you can send out 1 in DealMachine, right? If you go buy a house, you're like, oh, that thing's ugly. I bet you they want to sell. You go in and go start campaign. Boom.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Love it.
Or 10 or 50 or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think really, with this strategy, the whole goal in general is to eliminate all potential, things that could be holding you back, potential hoops to jump through. But you did it old school by hand, like you said, where you were going through and you had to do a million things to even get to that call, to even get in touch with that individual. We just want to make it immediately actionable right there, where you don't even have to think beyond adding that lead or pulling that list. You're ready to just get out there and start having conversations. And so a couple ways to do that inside DealMachine. Really, we talk about, I really like to lay out kind of two main buckets for this as well. We've got the short-term one-to-one marketing, kind of the hand-to-hand combat. That would be things that aren't as easy to scale and automate, but are very much like direct to seller. Hey, let's get conversations going. Let's take action right now today to go do deals. I would call, door knocking or flyers on the door like that. I would put one-to-one emailing, one-to-one calling, cold calling. I'll put all that under that bucket. So I can show you guys here in a second how to do this. And then the other side of it, I would say, okay, now that we're reaching out to people consistently, how do we put them on a nurture campaign so that way we are more likely to get that call back when they are ready? And using automation, using a one-to-many, kind of long-term marketing bucket, there is ways to use technology, especially through direct mail inside DealMachine. There are ways to use that to execute on a strategy that will help you get in front of people over and over again, help you really scale that, in a way that doesn't break the bank, like you said. So I can show people exactly how to execute on all that stuff inside the app, if that works for kind of too. Yeah. Awesome. Perfect. So, the one-to-one marketing, which you can see me now on the camera, hopefully here. Looks like it. Okay, cool. Yeah. Awesome. There we go. Didn't break it for too long. What I'll say on the one-to-one marketing piece inside DealMachine, you'll notice right away, I pulled that list, right? I pulled that 70 lead list. I pulled that 30 lead list right here. Mm-hmm. All those addresses go into your leads tab, which, whether you're adding addresses on mobile or desktop, either way, they all go to the same place. You'll see I've got all these phone numbers to be able to call, and I never touched the skip trace button once. I never had to pay for skip tracing. I never, for anyone unfamiliar, skip tracing is just pinging a database and getting back phone numbers and email addresses of likely owners for that property. All of that is ready to go in DealMachine for you already. Every single lead you add, the contact information is included right there. Yeah.
And I want to point out, and you're probably going to mention this, but guys, look at the DNs, they're already marked for if they're on the do not call list. Right. Yep. So you don't have to take a list that you skip trace and take it and run it through the DNC list and all that. It's already there. It's already updated for you. And these phone numbers, I'm stealing all your thunder, Matt.
Do it.
But these phone numbers are they're scrubbed against with the same company that verifies all the numbers for 911.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So I'm not saying that they're all going to be 100%. But they're going to be a lot more likely in DealMachine to be accurate numbers than they are if you're, just going to a discount, skip tracing company and saying, hey, get me a list. And they're giving you numbers that are 10 years old. Right. So it's very important. Pop into if you can, or if you will, pop into a property card on one of these properties and let's show people the information you get, because this is crazy. Like everybody else is charging for this. And I told David that owns DealMachine when he did this, like this is going to cost you guys a lot of money because companies make a huge profit on skip tracing, right?
Yep.
And David decided to give this stuff all away for free if you subscribe to DealMachine. So if you go into a property card here, you've got phone numbers, you've got emails, you've got owners, you've got tenants, you've got, everybody associated with this property.
Yep. Right. Down here, associate contacts, likely owner, resident. You'll see there's family members on there. You've got all this data around the mortgage. You've got, about the property itself, about the land, zoning and all that kind of stuff around the, tax information. Are they behind on taxes, sale history, even estimated rehab costs, which again, that's kind of back of the napkin math, but still kind of gives you a general sense for that. And, with all that right there, you also get demographic data. So these associated contacts, you not only get their phone numbers and email addresses right here, but you can click and I can see Heather, hey, she's a high earner property owner. Here's more information about her background. Does she own a portfolio? It's just
I was going to bring that up. So guys, if you go in here and somebody owns 20 properties, it's going to tell you that. is going to tell you what they own. And I mean, like there's so much, DealMachine is pulling so much data from so many different places and running it in here. It's incredible. And it's not on this one, Matt, but what I want you to do is show people, pull up some corporate owned real quick somewhere.
Let's see. So if I go to all my leads, I'll just filter, and this is kind of the CRM view, but you could say own, let's see, corporate owned.
Yeah.
Let's see if I've got any good ones here.
And we'll see if a good one pops up. But I want you to show where in there that they can see if they can pull the data from the corporate site.
Oh, open corporate? Yes.
Yeah, open corporate.
So here's a really good example. So we've got LD Investments right here, corporate owned property. Now, if you'll notice, like there are some properties that don't have a phone number automatically associated with it. It happens sometimes. So you see like, here's one. When you click into one of those, we now have we call it our private investigator tool, but it is an open corporate search right here, open company search. This little button right next to the name of it by the mailing address. And what that does is it pulls in open corporate's data. I don't know if you guys have used that at all, but it pulls in open corporate's data, shows you the associated officer with that individual property, and then says, okay, based on that, now we can give you a person. So we got Curtis right here. He's associated officer with that LLC. Here is more about Curtis. This is in Michigan, highly likely him. Looks like it. So you've got phone numbers right there. You can link him to the property now. And now we've got, we can dig a layer deeper and find these property owners that own LLCs that own these houses.
See, that's crazy. So, go into that property for a second.
Yeah.
Go into the view. Let me view that property. I know that property. I think I
this address
wholesaled that property.
That would be crazy.
Not to him, but maybe to a prior owner or something. That's crazy.
Wow. There we go.
But being able to pull up the corporate owned data is insane. Like nobody does that. Right. Yep. So anyway, I wanted to point that out.
Yeah. We let you dig a layer deeper. And that the crazy thing too is every layer you get past, every time you get over a hump that everyone else is getting stuck on, it means you are getting a better and better and better quality lead because other people are falling off. They're not able, you have access to data other people don't have access to. You're doing these things that other people aren't doing. So when you get in touch with somebody like that through this really deep dive process, you are highly likely the only person talking to them. Like you're finding those leads that are way less competitive.
Right.
So,
because even if you go on open corporate there, it a lot of times it'll just tell you, who the officers are, but it's not going to give you a phone number for them.
Right.
It's not going to give you that stuff. Russ just asked, he said, when you say contact information is included without having to pay for skip tracing, is it just phone numbers or is it phone numbers and emails? It is also emails, Russ. You get both. So it's whatever phone numbers are there, whatever emails are there, it's, it pulls in all that information. And even like I don't know if it does it on the email, but even on the phone numbers, it'll tell you which ones are, active, which ones, and all that stuff. So, but
it'll tell you.
So it's another way to reach out. So if you did Allen Park, you've got 70 properties. And then like every day you said, you know what, I'm going to send out 20 emails today or 30 emails a day. You can go just copy the email, put it in your email thing and say, in your email provider and say, hey, do you own this property in Allen Park? Mm-hmm. Right. And then, hey, I'm a local investor. I drove by the property, that's under your name in Allen Park. Do you own that? Interested in selling it, whatever. And I've got some scripts for that, but just email them. Right. And that's free. Mm-hmm. So, that's a great way to do it.
Yeah. The great thing too, I mean, normally that would be 10 cents, 12 cents plus per address to do that. I've got 6,000 leads in here. I mean, that would have been $600 that I'm saving right there. Our pro plan, you can add 50,000 leads in DealMachine. On the map, it's unlimited skip tracing. Any property you click on, you get the phone number, but you can add on the pro plan 50,000 leads. That would be $5,000 of skip tracing, at least $5,000 or $6,000. That's included free in DealMachine. So
So to break that down, if you've got a list, that you got somewhere else, and you import that
Yep.
into DealMachine. It'll give you all the information. It'll give you all the phone numbers. It'll give you all the email addresses and all that. So automatically, right? You just put it in and it does it.
All you need is the addresses right there, and then it'll backfill everything else right there for you. So you're saving that alone a crazy amount of money there. So
let's scenario that out. I love water shut off and low water usage lists. So if you went to the county or the cities and got a list of low water usage, a lot of times they don't want to, they'll give you the address, but they're like iffy about giving you like, the owner's information, right? So I just have a list of water shutoffs for Allen Park or for Lincoln Park or whatever. And I upload, and a lot of times they'll give me that list for free. Sometimes it costs you a couple bucks, but usually it's free. Upload that to DealMachine. And now I have a specific list of properties that have no water or the water shut off in DealMachine, and I've got the owner's name, I've got their tax bill address, I've got their phone number, I got their email, and I can route that so I can go drive by all the properties and put a note on the door. Right.
Exactly.
So talk about a unique list, right? I'll get a water shut off list. List stack it with like vacant properties, right? Vacant, water shut off, absentee owner. Highlight it on the map, go drive by all of them, go send them all a postcard, right?
Yep. I love that. To be able to do that, essentially, you click on that list inside DealMachine, you select your leads, and then you go to lead actions and drive this list. Or in the mobile app, you just hit add, drive for leads and then planned route, and it'll say which list you want to drive. You hit drive this list, and that's where it's going to give you, again, turn-by-turn navigation to every single property on this list. Fastest route possible, tell you, hey, it's going to take you 5 hours and 9 minutes to drive these 70 properties. And now I can go and leave flyers on the door knock, do all that in-person stuff in the fastest, most efficient way possible. So,
you get it. This is what you do. You get a big iced coffee.
Yep.
You put on some tunes.
Knock it out.
Put the windows down and you just do it, guys. It's awesome.
Love that. So that's one option. The other one I do want to show people. So the brand new, it's been out for 3 weeks. Feature that I want to be able to reveal to people here too is, as we've been going through this, you may have noticed like, hey, there's a call button right here, or over any number, there's a dialer tab now. If you're familiar with DealMachine at all, that is all brand new. We 3 weeks, July 1st, we launched our AI powered dialer, which gives you the ability to, and this is what probably the number one request we had since we launched the free skip tracing was, hey, great that we have all these phone numbers. Can you make it easier for us to call them? And typically you'd have to pay for a whole nother service, export all this data, import it into this new service, hope that's all lined up right, buy a number, learn that new platform, actually start finally reaching out after you're approved and set up with everything. Inside DealMachine, you just hit the call button and it starts working. Like you hit call, you have this unlocked already. You call, it's similar to postcards, as you pay per usage. So if you send out direct mail, you have to pay for that mail, right? If you're calling through minutes, you pay per minute, or you can get an unlimited number of minutes with a license in DealMachine too. But you make that call and it's going to pull up the dialer right here, where here I can show you at least what it looks like. I'll hang up right away, but you can see, you can hear my voice here, hear my voice. I'm going to hang up here. So you're going to see, here's the person, here's Gail right here that I'm calling. Here's more about that contact. I can pull up all the demographic data right here from DealMachine. I can pull up more about the property, all that right here inside DealMachine. So I can see as I'm calling, or if I get an inbound call, it'll pull up all that right there to make that a much easier conversation. As I talk to Gail, it'll say here, here's what Gail says. Here's what I say. Here's what Gail says. It'll transcribe the whole thing in real time to take notes for you. It'll give you an AI-based summary when you're done. So it'll tell you like, hey, here's what you guys talked about. It'll actually give you all that right there, and also score the conversation. So you can see right here, no one answered. Or, if they said, yeah, maybe I'll sell someday, it would automatically mark it as a warm lead. It'll do that for you. And also based on that score, it'll prompt you and say, hey, if they didn't answer, automatically put it in my follow-up queue in 30 days. And now when I jump into DealMachine, my follow-up queue in this top right corner is going to be loaded and say, hey, here are all the people that you told me to remind you about. Start calling them. So all of that is right there for you. Makes it super simple and easy to be able to actually make calls and track all your ROI of that and track the actual conversations themselves and take notes on the whole thing. And you can go in here and see, like, here's a past call I had with Ryan. Here's the exact transcription from it. Here's the summary of it. So I've got all of that right there for me inside DealMachine too, incoming and outbound calls. With this as well, what we talk about is AI enabled, right? If you go to your application settings, you can see right here inside DealMachine too, we've got things like, oh yeah, I can look at we have an AI assistant that we can go in here and have them prompt me with, based on where we're at in the conversation, ways to take that conversation. It'll say, hey, have you asked around the condition of the property yet? Have you asked why they're looking to sell? Have you asked them how long, when they want to sell? It'll give you these prompts to be able to come in and have a great conversation with the seller. So there's really all these tools to really make you more successful, especially as a newbie, to really give you that real-time guidance of calls along. And David, I know you've got awesome call scripts for people in the past too. Like, they can upload that right there as well to help with that conversation. So the dialer, the AI powered dialer, has been super exciting and just such a powerful tool to go start doing deals right now.
Yeah. What you know what you didn't touch on, and I think it's a really cool feature of the dialer, is the AI messages.
Yep.
Right. Yep. So yeah, go ahead and hit on that.
Yeah. Man, I keep giving thumbs up to the camera here. My apologies, guys. Just really really validating my points here. The AI voicemail piece. So I was going to touch on that here. That is also something that is super powerful for saving you time and making sure you don't mess up any tracking or anything like that. If that person that I just called, if it had rang through and went to voicemail, a little button would pop up that says drop voicemail. If you click that, you can opt in, obviously, but you can come in here, train the AI on your voice, and it will do an AI voice clone mimicking your voice, saying, hey, this is Matt, insert, I was trying to get a hold of insert seller name, here's my callback number here, I'm asking about this property, insert address. It'll do all of that dynamically for you right there with the click of one button. So you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. It saves you half the time you're calling because, those take 30 seconds or more to drop, to actually verbally say, and then you can just keep calling and stay productive. And so it eliminates errors. It saves you time. All of that right there, just click of a button, and it's been pretty awesome to see how many people have had success with that already. And voicemails get such a high contact rate too. So
yeah, that's so cool though, because it's like, because I used to do that a lot in the mortgage business. It's like you're dialing, and then I mean, like more often than not, you get voicemail, and instead of having to sit there every time and do the same thing, hey, it's David, blah blah, you just hit, leave voicemail and go to the next one, right? Leave, go, leave, go, right? So from a tool, productivity tool standpoint, I mean, it's over days and days of not having to do that, it saves you a ton of hours of leaving voicemail.
Oh yeah, it adds up real quick, and then. To answer Ian's question, so it's a per minute charge, a few cents a minute, depends on what plan you're on. If you do unlimited minutes, it's $99 a month to be able to do unlimited minutes. To do the voicemail drops, same deal. It's a couple cents per drop, or you can get unlimited voicemail drops for $99 a month. So if you just want to try it out, hey, you've got that per usage, cost there, and you can start there. But regardless if you're paying for the licenses or not, you're going to save a ton of money versus using a whole nother service. Plus, you have to pay, you have to learn that service, buy a number, make sure that all the data is imported correctly. Like being able to do this right inside the app with the click of a button and keep all your notes right there. Like there's just so much that helps by having that data and transcription, everything in front of you. So you've got that opportunity. If you're going to really power dial, really get after it for dialing, the license is worth it. Otherwise, hey, you can just try it out with those, those kind of usage.
I haven't checked like Mojo Dial in a while, but I think it's like their monthly subscription starts at like $120 or something.
Yep.
For a monthly subscription. Then you got to skip trace, and then you got to do the DNC cleaning. You got to do all those things. So, being able to ring them right out of DealMachine saves you. Like I said, it saves a lot of money in the long run because you're not going through all those other stuff. And now getting a phone number registered ain't the easiest thing in the world, ain't the easiest process, right? So, and DealMachine's already got the number for you. So, and it remembers the number that you've called from, and will ring back, to the same number, and all that stuff. So you don't even have to go out and get a phone number. It's like you can, that's all done.
Exactly. It'll mirror their area code. So Gail, whenever I called her, it was a 313 number. So that alone is a service that people pay hundreds for. So it'll mirror their area code. And then when Gail calls that number back inside DealMachine, it knows that specific number for that specific lead is me. It'll route that up and it'll pull it up and say, hey, Gail's calling. Here's more about Gail and the property that she's, that you called her about. So it'll include all of that right there for you too.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but also in DealMachine, because you've got a block of numbers that you're using and it's calling from. And if one of those numbers gets marked as spam, it's immediately eliminated, and then it goes to a fresh number.
Exactly. And that's why the contact rates have been 20-30% for a lot of people. It's like, which is crazy high compared to, a lot of them. If you get double digits, that's pretty solid in most of the time. I would say it's because, like you said, we have great skip trace data to start with. That really helps. But then two, it's, we're always cleaning those numbers on the back end when we're testing them for spam before we hand them off to our customer. And that way, you're getting a number that does not appear as spam when calling, and you have a way higher chance of getting it answered. So,
yeah. All right. Yeah. So guys, that's brand new. The dialer 3 weeks in.
Brand new.
I think are you still doing the demo or the practice mode? Is that going to still come out?
Yeah, it's coming out. We don't have it out yet because we want to get the AI really, really solid, but that is going to be up, little sneak preview here for you guys. There's an AI bot role playing mode to get your confidence up, to get the reps in, and you're calling an AI bot that acts as a seller, and they can be anywhere from hanging up on you basically to wanting to sell their house. Is just training you on asking great questions and asking about their motivation and their timeline and the condition of the property and the price and, a great opening line, and like kind of help you get the reps in before you even call a real seller.
I think a lot of people are going to like that. It's very cool, guys. When it rolls out, people like that a lot. Answer another question here. DealMachine does not have contracts built in. That's not something that they do. But if you need contracts, I can get contracts, help you with the contracts, and then using something like DocuSign or something. If you're doing it virtually, is the best way to go. If you're in person, honestly, I like sitting down in front of people with a contract, because if they have, it's too easy, like on the computer, to ignore somebody and say, oh, well, I'll look at it and I'll get back to you. Right. But if you're somewhere in the same market as the seller, and you can go sit down, if they have an objection, then you can work through it while you're at the table. Right. It's and I know technology is great and DealMachine's great and all that stuff, but there's some times when in person,
I agree,
just crushes it. Right. If I'm at a table with Matt and I say, Matt, my offer's, $150,000, and Matt in his head's like, that's not the number, right? If we were over the computer, over the phone, Matt's going to go, okay, well, David, I'll think about it and I'll talk to you later. And then I'll never get him on the phone again. Right. But if I'm in person and he's like, okay, well, I'll think about it. I'll go, well, tell me what you're thinking now. Right. What's, because let's be honest, Matt, if this was the right price, you would be signing the purchase agreement.
Exactly.
Right?
It helps you work your objections.
Yeah. So just, be honest, be straight with me. Is it the price? Is it, is it something, one of the other terms of the conditions of the agreement? What is it? And then we work through that, and then we get the deal signed. Right. So, DocuSign's great and all that stuff. But man, if you're in person, do it in person. Even like if I were virtual wholesaling, I would do my contract review over Zoom or Skype, right? Schedule a time, let's hop on a call and let's go through it, right? It's not quite as good as in person, but you can look them in the eye and say, what is it? What would make this happen today? Right. And that's how you get deals done.
Love that. Yeah. And it's a great way to, like you said, force objections and be able to work through that, on the spot. So, Yeah. Last thing I did want to touch on. Oh, go ahead, David.
Sorry. No, I was going to say, what are we going to go to the mail center?
Yeah,
what are we going to
I wanted to make sure to touch on the mail as well.
Okay.
So, the mail piece, like I mentioned, that's that kind of automated long-term marketing strategy right there. And you may have noticed as well, next to call, you've got a start mail button, right? Same thing with every individual lead. You can hit start mail as well. We have about 15 or so default templates inside DealMachine that are postcards of all different sizes, including handwritten letters here too, that you can actually send out with the click of a button. And so, what makes these so powerful? One, they're set up for success. I mean, most of like I said, the 10,000 plus deals that have been done using DealMachine, most of them actually have been done with the default template. So they are tested and true here. You've got all that right there, or you can create your own. You can actually go in here and essentially kind of do your own little Photoshop right here where you're creating images and all kinds of stuff. If you really want to, take that, do that. Like that's what I do with my own business here. You can see some of my postcards right here. But when you actually go through that, what you want to start off with is step one under mail is postcards to build your templates. Step two would be then create a sequence of those templates and say, hey, I want to send them this postcard and then, a month later, this one, a month later, this one, a month later, this one. Here's an example for me. I have a sequence all set up where it sends them this postcard. 21 days later, it sends this one. Then 21 days later, it sends this one. And again, the key is the automation here, where I know that if I click send mail and put them on this MVP mail sequence over the next 3 months or so, they're going to get 5 pieces of mail from me, and it'll show them, and I'll know, hey, I can just wait for the calls to come in at that point where we are sending out that mail automatically once you have the sequence set. And when I hit start mail, I can then go in here and then adjust and say, yeah, let me actually choose which template to send them. And if you switch up the sizing, you switch up the design, all of that, that's going to increase your response rate. But you can, if you'd like, just send them the same postcard, once a month or so. Just set it and forget it. And that way, this is that kind of one-to-many marketing strategy where you are, again, trying to reach out, be consistent, stay top of mind. And when they're ready to call, that you're one of the first ones that they think of.
I'm surprised in your templates you didn't have one with like you laying on the front porch saying, I'm not going anywhere until you call me.
That is a good one. I love it. We do have these house pictures. These are dynamic. Like for their Google Street image will pop up right there.
Yeah.
We do have some crazy ones. Believe it or not, like this is one of our highest response rates. It's a Bigfoot. We are searching for homes. This UFO one gets a really high response rate. So we have fun with it too. Like it's a good mix of like more professional and then some more like eye-catching.
You got to stand out, right? You've got to, you can't, people that just do like the corporate looking, plain, it doesn't get a response rate. You have to, and Matt, from my marketing that I do, you have to do something. Yeah, you have to do something that jumps out at people. So, but I love that the mail, the postcards in here, because back to me when I was driving for dollars all the time, it would have been so nice when I started out to have the ability to go buy a house and just go boop and start. Right. And just keep going. And because there was so much involved in it, then looking them up, finding the phone number, finding the address, writing out the mail, going to the post office, dropping it, buying the stamps, all of that. And now it's just like hit a button and it's done.
Yep. And as you do that, to make sure you know exactly how much mail is going out every month, you have a mail center to track all of that as well. In terms of your spend and how much you have scheduled and sent and all of that here. You also have this dashboard in the top left corner that helps you kind of track everything in terms of number of leads you've added, how many calls you've made, how much mail you've sent. You actually get a call tracking number as well. So inside DealMachine, even on our starter plan, you get 1. On Pro, you get 3, and on Teams, you get 15, I believe. But you go in here, your application says you have a call tracking number that you can insert into your postcard. And now we know if that number ever gets ringed, and you can forward it to whatever number you'd like, but like your personal cell. But we know that if that number ever gets ringed, that, hey, inside DealMachine, it's going to track that and be able to say, oh yeah, that's a callback. You know, that is that's from your mail, which I actually don't have it on mine currently yet, but I need to now I can check and see. And especially if I change the call tracking number on every single postcard design I use, I can get even more specific and say, oh, if this, you know, it knows that if that number is called, that was for my Bigfoot theme. If this number is called, it knows it was for my local and informal postcard. So then I can search and see, hey, which postcards have I sent, you know, have the highest response rates? Which ones are the market responding to? Let me kind of A/B test and make sure I'm always optimizing my mail performance that way. Yeah. So
that's important, right? Because you don't want to waste mail on things that aren't working, right? So if you're constantly split testing, you know, this postcard works for this type of seller, right? And you keep doing that, and now so you get one that's really a winner, and then you start testing things against that to see if you can get anything that beats that one, right? And you just keep doing that.
And great question in the chat here too. Mail can be sent out either individually, one-off, or you can mail entire lists right here where I just hit start mail. And it'll actually say, oh yeah, which postcard do you want? You know, do you want it to repeat forever, or do you want it to be a sequence? And then, you know, see, here's all 70 leads in my list, right? So I could say, oh yeah, I want to send it to all of them, and here's how much it's going to cost, and go from there. So you can send it either to the entire list, one-off, or, you know, in kind of groups like that. So
however you want to do it.
There you go.
So as you guys can see, and this is why I'm always so pumped up about DealMachine, is no matter what your strategy, if it's driving for dollars, if it's list building, if it's mail, if it's cold calling, this, you know, one system does all of that, right? And so and I'm always like, I'm getting rid of stuff that I'm not using, right? I got this subscription, I'm not using it, dump it. But you can get rid of so much stuff. You can get rid of your dialer. If you know you're using a mail service, a skip tracing service, all that, you can ditch all that for one thing, right? And whittle your, you know, the $1,000 a month or the $600 to your month you're spending down to just one subscription, right? Which makes sense for me, right? Because I don't like wasting money.
Yep. And I'll put in the chat here for you guys too. So we have a couple options here. You can do either, again, the 7-day free trial for just the monthly plan with all the bonuses. That's just dealmachine.com /toolbox. I know I have also set up for you guys too. If you want to do, if you're like, yeah, I'm all in on this, I want to do this for more than just a few months, I want to really, you know, invest in myself and be able to save as much as possible. We do have an annual plan, which you get a free trial with it too, so you can try it out for 7 days first. But you get literally $1,000 off with this approach here. It's dealmachine.com /toolbox special. So I just put that in the chat here for you guys too. Kind of tough to click on that. I don't know if that's an option there for you, David. But
I think you got to copy and paste it or something.
Okay, yeah. So I wanted to give you guys as much, as much technology as possible to give you, you know, everything you need to be able to save time, like David said here, to save marketing budget with this, to go through and have this all in one place, to be able to do your first deal and many deals after that. So use it for building that list, use it for marketing that list, use it for closing deals. Always love coming on here. Great questions throughout this too. So it's just either dealmachine.com /toolbox for the monthly, or dealmachine.com /toolbox special for that yearly big discount there if you're ready to go all in on that. So
does anybody have any questions on this? Does anybody want me to bring them on so they can ask their questions in person?
There we go. Put it on the spot. I like it.
Let me know. Sometimes it takes a minute if you're on
Yeah.
YouTube or something like that. But, I hope you guys got a lot out of this. Again, my goal with the Wholesaler's Toolbox and with the things I do is to see you guys succeed, right? And the reason I always have Matt on is because I think their tool really helps do that. DealMachine helps you succeed if you're serious. If you're gonna, you get it and you go out and you use it, which is a crucial step, right? Is actually using it, but it's going to help you succeed. If anybody signs up, not a trial, but if anybody signs up for a paid plan, I will get on a call with you and kind of strategize what you're doing, best I, how I would go about, getting deals if I were you, with your market, with your scenario. But if you sign up for DealMachine and you show that you're serious, I will hop on a Zoom call with you and do a strategy call.
Amazing. I know you mentioned, don't want to hold you too much, on the spot here, but I know you mentioned for the annual discount, like the dealmachine.com/toolbox special. Are you still open to including any wholesaling partners, memberships or anything like that with it? I know you'd at least talked about that in theory, but don't want to spill the beans there.
Maybe. I'll tell you, I'll put it this way. If, because I'm really serious about people succeeding, right? It's why I do this. And if you sign up for DealMachine and you're showing that you're serious doing it, I'll get on a call and I'll give you endless resources. I'll give you contracts. I'll give you scripts. I'll bring you into a community. I'll help you figure it out. Right. Now I'm not a coach, and I don't want to be a coach as in like every time you get a deal, we're going to get on a call and I'm going to help you, calculate your offer and all that. I want you to learn to do that on your own. But as a strategy call, I will certainly get on there and tell you how I would approach with your situation. If you're working a job, or if you have all the time in the world, or with your budget, or with whatever, how I would approach it. Because I've done this a long time. I've been in sales my entire life. I sold industrial equipment. I was a realtor. I sold forklifts. I was in the mortgage business. I rehabbed houses for investors. I've wholesaled. I've inspected house. It comes to real estate, I've been around a long time. All right. So I will get on a call with you and we'll talk about your scenario and how I would best approach it if I were you.
Love that. That's a massive value. So
because I want you to succeed, because I hate when people, they sign up for courses and do whatever.
Yeah.
And then they peter out because they didn't have anybody to bounce the whole concept off of. Right. They, I got a course, they do 3 modules and they go back to their old thing.
Yeah.
But if you went all in and you're like, I'm going to do this, right? I'm going to hop on a call with David. We'll plot it out. And then I'm going to do this until I get a deal. That's what I said to myself. I'm going to drive for dollars every day. I'm not going to switch strategies. I'm just going to do this consistently till I close a deal. And it worked, right? So I want to do that for you guys, right?
Let's see. Ian in the chat said, switching from Flipster to DealMachine later today. Appreciate a few minutes of your time, David. Fairly new to wholesaling, jumped in full time. Would be great to benefit from your experience. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah. Anybody that wants to take the same step will do it. Right.
Love that mindset.
I switched communities, Matt, so I didn't commit really quick on that. But if we get enough people to take advantage for this, I'll start a unofficial DealMachine group. I don't care. If whatever I can do to help you guys, but I need to see something on your end, right? I don't want to just, I used to do that. I used to talk to a lot of people on the phone when I was selling. Sold lead lists for a while, and people would want to call me and just talk about their business for hours, which is fine. But I need to see that you've got some skin in the game, right? I've committed. I've done this thing. Now I need somebody to talk to, right? And so that's the deal. So that's the promise. If you sign up for DealMachine, I'll send you my calendar link. We'll set up a time where you can hop on for an hour and we can just dig into it. I'll ask you about, your background, what you've done for a living, what your experience is. And I don't care what it is. I don't care if you stock shelves at the grocery store. We'll talk about how we can transition from what you've done and what you're currently doing into real estate and into wholesaling and come up with a game plan for you. Okay.
Amazing. And I'll make sure that you have the full list of people that get DealMachine so you can set up those one-on-ones. So.
Do it every time somebody signs up, send me the email and I'll reach out personally and I'll say, hey, see you signed up for DealMachine. Do you want to hop on a call and talk about your business? All right. We'll do it every month. I'll do it for everybody signs up. unlimited. Whoever signs up for DealMachine, I'll talk to you that month, and we'll get a plan for you.
Wow, that's I mean that's massive. So again, it's just that DealMachine.com/toolbox for the monthly plan, DealMachine.com/toolbox special for the annual plan at that huge discount. But I'm here to help guys. Use the training we went through today. That is the playbook to go out there and do more deals. Let me know what questions you guys have. And David, I always appreciate you having me on, man.
I'm going to drop one more thing here for you guys. You guys can email me, hello@thewholesalerstoolbox.com. Here's my my Facebook, personal Facebook, Beach Bum Frizz. That's me on Facebook. If you want to send me a message on Facebook, ask me a question. If you need the link to sign up to DealMachine or whatever, you want to tell me that you signed up, you can, Greg, I will send out a replay. Yes. But reach out and let's do this. Okay. Let's it is July mid-year, but let's start crushing this. So let's get you guys some deals before the end of the year. So, so you're full-fledged real estate professionals. So, all right.
Great stuff
Matt,
today.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
Always great seeing you, David.
All right, everybody. Thanks for being here, and we will we'll talk soon. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.